Organic nutrients or organic molecules are ones made primarily of carbon atoms. And these are the ones that we use to build, and all organisms use to build their bodies, whether it's a cell or many cells together, or the structures that are attached to those cells. When we call them nutrients, those are actually ones that are used in cellular processes or for energy. So they're used for running the cell. And these, most organic nutrients are made of monomers, which are the individual subunit building blocks. So if you think of beads on a string, each bead is a monomer. Mono means one and mer means part. So they have one part to a monomer. Polymers, on the other hand, are all the beads on a string together. And so the different, each bead attached to another bead is by what we call a bond. And when you put a lot together, we're talking like hundreds to thousands of these together, that is your polymer. And poly means many, so this means many parts. To put together monomers, to make polymers, we do a process called dehydration synthesis. You probably know already that dehydration means that you've lost water. And so that's why it's called that, because water is removed from the molecules. And synthesis means to build something. To synthesize an idea means to come up with it and build it up. So these are going to remove water to synthesize a polymer. And you can see here we have an OH and an H. You might know water is H2, meaning 2 hydrogens, O, meaning 1 oxygen. So we've got the option here of putting these guys together to make an H2O. And when you put them together, it basically takes it out of the molecule. And then you have these little unbonded parts here. And molecules can't stay without bonds because they're unstable. So because these two monomers are held close together in what's called an enzyme, a type of protein that does reactions, because they're held together closely in that enzyme, they attach together. So you can see down here, now we have a bond between the two monomers. Take out another water, and we have another bond between the monomers, because they stick together with the bond when they are missing one. And you could just continue adding monomers on until you get hundreds to thousands of them in a string, and that would be a long polymer. Now, sometimes we need to take these polymers and break them down to be able to use the monomers. And we do that through a process called hydrolysis. So you may be familiar with the word hydro, which means water. And then this word lysis means to break. To lyse something is to break. So hydrolysis or hydrolysis is the breaking of a molecule using water. So this is just the opposite of dehydration synthesis, where you take the water and you stick it in the bond. So basically it breaks the bond and then you attach the water. And now that's making the molecules stable. And so there's no bond between it. Then you take another water, add it between the bond and break the bond, stick that water onto here. And now you have 3 monomers. That used to be a little 3 unit polymer. So that's hydrolysis. When we look at a cell, what kinds of things are inside of it? Well, we have mostly water inside, 70% or so, and then 30% are chemicals, meaning organic molecules and inorganic molecules. So the ones that we're thinking of here with organic molecules are a little bit of polysaccharides, a lot of proteins, some RNA, a little bit of DNA, some phospholipids, which is a type of lipid that makes up cell membranes, the outside of cells. And then we have some inorganic molecules here. So these guys here, DNA, RNA, proteins, and polysaccharides are macromolecules, meaning they are polymers. When we look at the energy nutrients, we use carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins for energy. You can see some examples of here and how you get them in food. So carbohydrates are little ones called sugars and big ones called polysaccharides. You can eat things like bread, pasta, cereal, potatoes, rice, all those things to get carbohydrates. Those are all ones that would have big carbohydrates, polysaccharides. You can also have things for little sugars like fruits, table sugar itself. Sweets, of course, do have small sugars in them as well. Examples of lipids are triglycerides or fats and cholesterol, which is a small molecule. You can get these by eating oils, butter, animal products, seeds and nuts. Those are plant products. And then we have proteins. Peptides and polypeptides are sort of examples of proteins. A peptide is a small protein. A polypeptide is a really long protein. And we can get these in beans, milk, meat, seeds and nuts have proteins in them. You can get them from soy products like tofu as well. And all these energy nutrients have potential energy, which we talked about in a different lecture, stored in their bonds. So that's a type of chemical energy. And so if we break down these big molecules by hydrolysis, we can use the energy in those bonds to do work in the cell to make them run, as well as using these molecules for building the parts of a cell.